Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
Hey there, Nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and we are back with an episode of the Golden Age. This is our series that's dedicated to Warhammer Fantasy Battle Reports, and this is Battle Report number 148. It is a 3,000 point battle that is fought between dogs of war as well as dwarves. My friend Iron Major is playing the Nation of Fallen Holds, a 3,000 point dwarf army, and I am playing the Miragliano Mercenaries, my 3,000 point dogs of war army. So for those of you guys who are tuning in for the very first time, first of all, welcome to our channel. On this channel, we do play various battle reports and also show you how to save money on the miniatures wargaming hobby. And for those of you guys who don't know, what's going on is that I have finally completed a 3,000 point Dogs of War army for our studio's collection. And because of that, whenever we make a new army on this channel, especially when it comes to Warhammer, we take this army through its paces by fighting against every single army in the studio's collection. There are 15 different armies that my Dogs of War army will face off against, and this is its 6th battle, this time against dwarves. So I do have my work cut out for me on this one. My friend Iron Major is playing a dwarf gunline army, and as you can see, they have a beautiful castle defense right here on the hill, locking down its flanks and protecting it from all assault, and it have a lot of firepower in that army, and I'm going to try to break them as best as I can. So that being said, we're going to play some background music real quick. As the music is playing, we'll show you photos of both armies as well as our army rosters. If you want to see exactly what we're bringing for this battle report, go ahead and take a look in the description box below, or pause and look at your own leisure. So that being said, let's get this battle report on a roll.
Grom, I've never prayed you before. I have no tongue for it. No one, not even you, will remember if we were good men or bad, why we fought, or why we died. No. All that matters is that two stood against many. That's what's important. Balor pleases you, Grom. So grant me one request. Grant me revenge. If you do not listen, then to hell with you.
Assemble the army!
Alright, so the scenario rules for this one is Battle Line. It's the most typical game of Warhammer Fantasy that we play on this channel with standard deployment as well as standard victory conditions. So now that we're done talking about the scenario rules real quick, let's go ahead and talk about deployments. Alright, so here's an overhead shot of the entirety of the battlefield. As you can see, I am deployed on the near side of the table and my opponent is deployed on the far side of the table. Now, unlike my previous battle, I did decide to use my forward march stratagem where all my infantry units have a 6-inch vanguard movement, and the reason why I did that is for obvious reasons. I'm fighting against a dwarf gun line, so I gotta be able to close a distance quickly with my enemies so that way I can destroy them in close combat, because if I just sit back, I'm gonna be destroyed from long range shooting. So now that we got the overall deployment talked about, let's talk about the individual units that make up our deployment areas. Alright, so starting off with the Miragliano Mercenaries, my army. On the far left-hand side, that unit is called the Saints of Sartosa. It's a unit of 8 mercenary man-eaters with Bellower as well as standard bearer. Now, in that unit, I have 4 of the guys in the front ranks are armed with heavy armor as well as additional hand weapons, and the 4 mercenaries in the back are armed with great weapons as well as heavy armor. Their been that, done that rule are stubborn as well as vanguard. Now, right next to them on the right-hand side, that unit is called the Golden Company. It is a huge horde formation of 38 Paymasters bodyguards with full command. They have heavy armor as well as halberds, as well as a standard discipline, giving them +1 to their leadership. Now that does mean they cannot use the general's inspiring presence rule, but that would be a problem if my general wasn't in that unit as well. My general is also in that unit. His name is Condottieri Patricio Il Turcio. He is a merchant prince. He's also the general of my army as well. He's got a pistol as well as riding a barded warhorse, and he's also equipped with a shield. He also has the ogre blade, giving him +2 strength, the armor of destiny, which is heavy armor, giving a 4 board save as well. He's also got Guido's lucky coins, so that way he can re-roll 1 dice to hit, wound, or when taking armor and ward saves, and he's also got the forward march strategy to make all my vanguard units be able to move up 6 inches for my infantry units. Also in that unit is Brunhilde von Königsmark. She is a hiring wizard lord, level 4 from the Lore of Light. She also has a staff of Fickle Fortune as well. And I also have my Paymaster in this unit. His name is Sheikh Shabazz. He's a Paymaster. He's got great weapon, heavy armor, and shield. He also has a pay chest mounted on a pay cart as well. So because he does have 2 bodyguards armed with heavy armor as well as halberds. And he also has Justintine's pay chest, which means that any unit that within range can roll 3d6 for their break test and take the 2 lowest results as well. Now, make up the center of my deployment course is where most of my infantry units are located at. On the left-hand side, that unit is called Perazzo's Lost Legion. It is a regiment of renown. It consists of 30 mercenaries, 12 crossbowmen, and 18 pikemen. They have full command with musicians and standard bearer, and leading them as a special character, Perazzo. He's got heavy armor as well as a crossbow and hand weapon. He's also the leader of this unit as well. Now, right next to the right-hand side are the Vrezzo Gunners, as a unit of 20 handgunners with musicians, standard bearer. They also have handgunners and devices, and they also have the Banner of Eternal Flame. And the reason why is because I upgraded them with the best that money can buy special rule that my general has, so it gives my unit flaming attacks. Also in that unit as well as Gretchen von Königsmark. She is one of my hireling wizards, level 1 Lore of Light, and she also has a Dispel scroll in that unit as well. And up in the front, vanguard and forward are the Thugs of Tabara, which is a unit of 5 Stadiotes with armed with light crossbows and mounted on war horses. And making up my far right-hand flank on the left-hand side, that unit is called the Lucchini Rifles, unit of 20 handgunners with musicians, standard bearer. They got handguns and devices. And leading that unit is Hildegard von Königsmark, my last of my hireling wizards. She's a level 1 wizard with the Lore of Light as well. And then right next on the right-hand side, that is Mordini's Nightmare Legion. It is a unit of 28 undead skeleton warriors. They have standard bearer musician. They also have halberd as well as heavy armor and shields. Leading that unit is my champion, Renzo Avanti, who's also a special character. He's got twin hand weapons and heavy armor as well. And then of course I have Ennio Mordini, who's the special character that leads his unit. He's got shield, heavy armor, and he's also packing the magic weapon Scab's Wrath. And then right behind them on the right hand side, that unit is called La Stasi, which is my Revolt as well. Now I forgot to mention this earlier, but on the far left hand side in the back corner, I forgot to take a picture of it, is La Agonia, which is my mercenary great cannon. And that pretty much makes up my deployment for this battle report. Alright, so talking about deployment now for the Nation of Fallen Holds. This is Iron Major's Dwarf Army's gunline deployment. On the far left-hand side, that unit is called Clan Storecloak. The Brethren of Valaya is a unit of 37 hammerers with full command, with musician and standard bearer as well. They got great weapons, heavy armor, as well as shield, and they also got the Master Rune of Valaya for that unit, giving a +2 to its Dispel rolls. At the same time, also in that unit too are 2 characters. We have Lord Ivar Bodesson, the Lord of Fallen Holds. He is the army's general. He's got Gromril armor as well as a shield and a great weapon. He's also got the Rune of Parrying on his great weapon as well as a runic armor. He's got 1 Rune of Fortune and 2 Runes of Iron as well. He's also running a shield bearer. And also leading that unit is Ragnar the Spellbreaker. He's a Runesmith with Gromril armor, shield, and great weapon. He's got the Rune of Speed on his great weapon as well as a runic talisman of spellbreaking ×2 on that one. And right next on the right hand side, that unit is called Clan Izmir. Is the Vengeful Ones, is a unit of 18 quarrelers, musician, and standard bearer. They got great weapons, crossbows, heavy armor, as well as shields. And making up Iron Major's rest of his deployment on the left-hand side is called Clan Helheim, Fallen the Dragonbacks. And you have 17 Thunderers, with musician and standard bearer. They got dwarf handguns, heavy armor, shields, as well as hand weapons. And leading that unit as well is Grim Burluxon, the special character. He's got a cog axe, a brace of dwarf pistols, as well as Grudge Raker. He's also got the Gromril armor. He's also the engineer special character as well. And right next on the right hand side, that huge unit there is called Clan Roadsoaker. The Cursed Company is a unit of 37 dwarf warriors with musician and standard bearer. They have hand weapons, heavy armors, as well as shields. And leading that unit, we have a couple characters. First of all, we have Joseph Bugman, the dwarf brewer special character with Gromril armor and shield. He's got Old Trustworthy, as well as Bugman's Tankard. Also in that unit too is Iorek Shattershield, the Chosen of Grungni. He's the Thane. He's also the army's battle standard bearer. He's got a great weapon as well as Gromril armor and shield. He's also packing the runic standard. And also in that unit is Torstick Blackbriar, another Runesmith with Gromril armor, shield, and great weapon. He's got 2 runes of speed as well as a runic talisman of spellbreaking ×1. And then right behind them, the hill, of course, we got our 3 war machines. We have the Sorrow's Ill, which is a great cannon with Rune of Forging as well as Rune of Burning. We have the Remember, which is a grudge thrower with the Rune of Penetrating as well as the Rune of Accuracy. And then finally we have the Decemberist, which is an organ gun with the Rune of Accuracy and the Rune of Forging. And that pretty much makes up Iron Major's deployment on this one. I forgot to mention for his Ancestral Grudge on this one, he rolled a 1. It's because his general hates my general, and that's really about it. So with deployment over with, we go directly to battle plans. Alright, so now that we're done talking about deployments, let's talk about battle plans real quick. So my plan is actually pretty straightforward. Most of the time, I usually fight defensively because the army is designed to be, just shoot at my opponents for the most part, make them come to me, and then I countercharge in most cases. Well, that's not going to work against a dwarf gun line. After all, as you can see across the battlefield, my opponent is castled up pretty hardcore. He's got a huge horde formation of dwarf warriors on his right-hand flank, another horde formation of dwarf hammers on his left flank. He's got 2 units of shooting elements as well as a hill full of war machines. So sitting back and shooting at him is not going to be a very preferable tactic at this point. So what I have to do is I have to close the distance between them. My plan is to basically go for the flanks. In a dwarf gun line, the weakest parts are the flanks. So I'm going to send Mordini's Nightmare Legion forward to go directly into this unit of dwarf warriors. Hopefully bog them down and tar pit them for as long as possible to keep them out of action, and also whittle down some of the defenses using my Revolt as well as my 2 units of 20 handgunners. Since I do have Lore of Life on my 2 handgunner units for my 2 wizards, I am going to try to use magic missiles and try to whittle down his defenses at exactly the same time and kind of soften them up a little bit. While that is occurring, of course, I am going to move up my left-hand flank. This is my main assault element. I'm going to march up Lost Legion so that way they can then distance in order to start shooting, as well as to protect the right-hand flank of my main killers, which is the Golden Company. My Golden Company is my Paymasters, as well as my Sancto Sartosa, my Man-Eater Arc Regiment. My plan is to march as quick as I can, smash directly into the left-hand flank of the Brotherhood of Valaya, which is basically what was it, Brotherhood of Valaya? The Stormcloaks. I forgot, the Stormcloaks, there we go. Those are the guys who are actually our clan Stormcloak. Those are the guys who are armed with the hammers. My plan is to send my teammates into that and hopefully destroy that, and then of course just sweep along the flank and destroy everything that way. And that's pretty much what my battle plan is for the most part. I do have my cannon over here on the far left-hand flank. Hopefully Lagonia could do some long-range shooting and take out some of those machines on War Machine Hill. Hopefully my magic will do exactly the same thing, and that's pretty much what my battle plan is for this one. So with the battle plan over with, we go directly to the top of turn number 1, and both Iron Major and I roll off for initiative to see which of us will be going first. We'll be right back after turn number 1. Alright, so that takes us right to the top of turn number 1, and so because of my friend Iron Major won the initiative on this one, so he will be going first. And this is actually pretty much his entire turn, so let's talk about exactly what happens. So at top of the move phase, obviously Iron Major does not move. He does not need to at all. He's playing a Dwarf Gunline list, so moving is not exactly part of his strategy. After all, his shooting attacks are either move or shoot, so why would he move at all? So he basically stays exactly the same spot. He doesn't have a magic phase because he's dwarves, he doesn't believe in it, but he gets into the real magic phase, and as you can see, he actually uses it to some pretty good effect, actually. First of all, he opens up with both Clan Helheim as well as Clan Izmir, the Vengeful Ones, as well as the Fallen Dragonbacks. The handguns and crossbows go directly into my Lucini rifles, as you see, cause all kinds of problems. Same thing with the Decemberist as well, which is the organ gun. It opens fire directly into this unit as well and just causes all kinds of destructions. Brings these guys down to a quarter strength, as you can see. So because of that, I will need to roll Snake Eyes if I want these guys to every rally ever again, because they're currently broken, they're fleeing. Luckily for me, though, they only fled 3 inches, so that part's kind of nice, but I don't think that unit's coming back anytime soon, because Snake Eyes is a hard number to roll for that one. At the same time, my opponent also opens fire with the Grudge Bearer. Opens fire with his Grudge Thrower. Tries to go to tries to go directly into Mordini's Nightmare Legion, but it scatters 4 inches to the back. So because it completely misses his mark, he actually aimed it right for the middle of the unit. So bounced over directly, harmlessly hitting nothing. And then finally, the Stars of Eld, which is the great cannon for the Dwarves, opens fire directly onto my Saints of Sartosa. Managed to hit the first guy and actually rolls d6 for wounds. Wounds to that guy, causes 6 wounds. Hits the next guy behind it, hits 4 wounds. So because of that, 2 of my man-eaters are dead. So that part was crazy. Lucky for me, though, I did pass my panic test. So my guys are perfectly fine over there. And that pretty much makes up Iron Mage's very first turn. So great effect with the fire on one of my units, which is really rough. So that being said, we go directly to the bottom of turn number 1 for the Dogs of War. And we'll come right back after my movement phase. Alright, so now we're back for the bottom of turn number 1 for my army, the Dogs of War, the Miragliano Mercenaries, and this video is taken after the movement phase. And as you can see, I pretty much take the offense on this one. So I start moving up as quickly as I can directly towards my enemy. The first thing I do, of course, is I march up Mordini's Nightmare Legion, heading directly towards Clan Roadstalker, the Cursed Company, because I'm trying to gauge those guys in close combat pretty soon. I don't think I was going to make it far enough to make the charge, even though I am forward up 6 inches because of my forward march rule. But I just march up 8 inches so that way I could definitely get the charge in the next turn. At the same time, also gives me a turn to open fire of my Revolt directly into Clan Roadstalker, hope he soften up a little bit as well. I also move up the Thugs of Tabarro to kind of get in a blocking position. These two units over here, so that way they shoot at my light cavalry instead of actually at my Lorenzo Gunners, who actually stayed behind. And hopefully I'll do some pot shots with those crossbows as well. But the main marching, though, took place over here with Perazzo's Lost Legion as well as the Golden Company. They both march up forward. I will not be able to shoot with Perazzo's Lost Legion because they're stand or shoot, but that's really fine because my plan is to send them up this way so that way they can block the right-hand flank of my main killer units over here, which is the Golden Company, which also marches up forward, and same thing with the Saints of Sartosa, and move up as quick as they can as well, trying to get closer to Clan Stormcloak, the Brethren of Elias, so that way I can destroy those guys as well. And of course, unfortunately for my Lucchini rifles, they do not pass their panic tech, and they're still running for the hills because they need snake eyes in order to rally. And that pretty much makes up my move phase for this one. So move phase over with, we go directly to the magic phase. Alright, so now that we're done with the move phase, we come back after the magic phase. Magic phase is actually pretty good, all things considered. So let's talk about exactly what happens. First of all, I was able to cast Banishment off directly onto Clan Izmir, the Vengeful Ones. Managed to kill 5 of those guys, hitting with a Strength 5 attack, which is absolutely fantastic. Give me a little bit of payback. Unfortunately, though, it wasn't enough to cause a panic chest because they're dwarves, and dwarves don't break. And then second, I was able to cast 2 big spells. First of all, was Baroness Time Warp. Was able to cast the boosted version with Brunhilde von Königsmark, my level 4 wizard. So everybody within 12 inches has twice the amount for movement phase. So everyone is now movement 8 over here and movement 12 over there, which is absolutely fantastic. Everyone within 12 inches has +1 attack and always strike first, which is absolutely fantastic. And I also do exactly the same thing with Faw's Protection, cast the boosted version of that. So now anybody tries to shoot at these units within 12 inches, including my handgunner regiment, they suffer -1 to hit. If they try to use something that doesn't use ballistic skill, like the Great Cannon over there, it's going to roll 4+ or to shoot first. So give myself a little bit more long-range protection against being shot at by my enemies. So with the magic phase over with, we now go directly to the shooting phase. I'll be right back after this. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the shooting phase real quick. So the shooting phase was pretty disastrous for me. So first of all, I tried to take a fire with my Great Cannon Agonia, but unfortunately though, I roll misfire for my bounce. So I roll up on the misfire table for the black powder chart weapons, and because I roll a 6, I will not be able to fire this turn, so it just kind of goes back as my crew member tried to figure out what's going on with their cannons. However, the big disaster took place with Astasi, which is my repulse. I roll a misfire, and when I roll up on the misfire chart, I roll a 1, so it explodes and kills everybody in the crew. So just like that, my war machines decided to go kaput on me. It's been a while since my war machines epically failed me like this, but you know, it happens. It comes with the territory. Now, getting out the rest of the shooting phase, of course, I then opened fire with my units of my thugs to borrow. They open fire directly into Clan Izmir. They actually don't do anything to those guys. But my handgunner unit, oddly enough, does an excellent job. My Vrenzo gunners open fire and actually managed to plink off this unit almost down to a third. So they're doing quite well for themselves. So that part was absolutely fantastic. Now, of course, unfortunately for me, my opponent Iron Major does pass his break test because dwarves don't break, and that pretty much makes it the shooting phase on this one. So since the shooting phase is over and no one's engaged in close combat, we go directly to the top of turn number 2 for Iron Major and the Nation of Fallen Holds. We'll be right back after the movement phase. Alright, so now we're back at the top of turn number 2 for my friend Iron Major, and this is his entire turn. So first of all, for movement phase, as you can see, none of his guys actually move. After all, he is dwarves, there's no need for him to move whatsoever, and he's also a gunline, so moving is not really part of what he actually does. So he basically stands exactly where he's located at. We then go to the magic phase, which we skip because he plays dwarves, and dwarves don't do magic, and we go to their real magic phase, which is the shooting phase. And unfortunately for my friend Iron Major, his shooting phase is actually quite horrible this time around. So let's talk about exactly what ended up happening. So first of all, Clan Izmir, the Vengeful Ones, the Quarrelers, opened fire with their crossbows directly into the Thugs of Tabaro. Managed to kill 3 of my stratiotes, so because of that, they had to take a panic test, which they failed, and unfortunately they also flee back 7 inches as well. Now from there, Clan Helheim, the Fallen of the Dragonbacks, the unit armed with Thunders, they opened fire with their handguns directly in long range at my Vrenzo gunners. And unfortunately for my opponent, he only managed to clink off 1 of them. He missed a lot of his shots, only got I think 3 of them that actually hit, and of those 3, only 1 wounded, and of course killed one of my handgunners. So that part was really unfortunate for my friend Iron Major. Now from there, of course, he does concentrate with his war machines. He activates the Sorrows of Eld, his great cannon, and fires directly at my Saints of Sartosa. It does hit, but when he rolls to wound, though, he rolls a 1. So because of that, Bound Ball just kind of bounces off the gut plate off of one of my Maneaters and doesn't do anything. Now from there, of course, he then opens fire with the Decemberus as well as the Remember. The Grudge Thor goes first and manages to hit, but kind of scatters 2 inches to the right-hand side. Still managed to hit 9 of these guys, actually. I was able to kill 5 of them, and the organ gun from the Decembers also fired 2. He only got, I think, 5, no, was it 4 or 6 shots? I forgot. He only got like a really small amount of shots, and he finished off the last 4 of those guys as well. So I do lose 10 people in my Mordini's Nightmare Legion, but I'm not too worried about it, though, because they're undead, so they don't need to worry about taking a panic test. And since no one's engaged in close combat, that pretty much makes up Iron Major's turn. So with the turn number 2 over with for Iron Major, we go directly by on the turn for my army, the Miragliano Mercenaries. We'll be right back after my movement phase. Alright, so now we're back to the bottom of turn number 2 for my army, the Miragliano Mercenaries of the Dogs of War, and this is after the movement phase. So first of all, let's talk about what ended up happening. First of all, I declare a charge the Mordini's Nightmare Legion. It goes tearing across the battlefield, smashing directly into Clan Roadstalker, the Cursed Company. So just like that, those guys are now engaged in close combat, so that part was pretty epic. At the same time, of course, my opponent also, sorry, not my opponent, I also declare a charge with my Ogre Man-Eaters, the Saints of Sartosa. They go tearing across the battlefield, smashing directly into the front over here, to the Clan Helheim, the Clan Stormcloak, the Brethren of Valaya as well. Unfortunately, I rolled a 9 for my charge, so I couldn't get the D3 impact disc for my Ogre charge, but that's good enough. I mean, that 12 inches, they're able to move, they'll be able to move the double my movement to 12 inches with that 2d6, extremely valuable to get that out from Browner's Time Warp. Same thing happened over here with the Golden Company as well as my Perazzo's Lost Legion as well. Because they're twice as much movement, that means I have to march 16 inches. So I march these guys directly over to the front here, put them right in front of the 2 shooting units, so that way I can charge those guys and finish those guys off in close combat as well. Now for the remaining turns, of course, unfortunately for the Thugs of Tabaro, because they're at quarter strength, I gotta roll Snake Eyes for those guys to actually stand their ground, so they flee back another 8 inches, and of course the last of my Lucchini rifles also flee off the table as well. And that pretty much makes it the move phase for this one. So the move phase over with, we go directly to the magic phase. Alright, so the magic phase. Unfortunately, I didn't have a very good magic phase at all. I only got 4 power dice on that one. So I do try to cast the boosted version of Barona's Time Warp. And oddly enough, I do get that spell. However, my opponent decided to activate one of his Runesmiths. His Runesmith uses the Rune of Spellbreaking, gets rid of that spell, and to make matters worse, he also destroys that spell as well. So I will not be able to cast Barona's Time Warp for the rest of the battle. So that part was kind of tragic. So with the magic phase over with, we go directly to the shooting phase. So unfortunately for me, my shooting phase was pretty short-lived. I did try to open fire with the Renzo Gunners, but unfortunately I do suffer -1 hit against because my own guys are in the way as well. So I gotta roll 6s in order to hit my targets. Unfortunately, I don't land a single shot, so that shot was pretty much wasted. And same thing with Agonia. It tries to open fire with its cannon this turn. I do manage to hit, oddly enough, the Sorrows of El, which I was going after for that one, the Great Cannon across the other side of the battlefield. But unfortunately for me, though, when I actually rolled to wound, I rolled a 1. So because of that, my cannon just kind of bounces off the hull of the War Machine, so nothing much really happens from there. So with the shooting phase over with, we go directly to the combat phase, and we'll be right back after this. Alright, so now we're back after the combat phase, so let's talk about what ended up happening. So over here, it was actually pretty good, actually. My Saints of Sartosa actually do quite a bit of damage on this one. I do manage to kill, 12 of these guys, so that part was kind of nice. Was able to kill 12 of Clan Stormcloak. However, when Clan Stormcloak counterattacked, they just did so much damage they completely destroyed what was left of the Saints of Sartosa. So just like that, my huge unit of mercenary man-eaters are just gone. They're just gone. It's like that South Park episode, and they're gone. And they totally got destroyed, so they got killed to the last man, which is kind of sad. And meanwhile, over here, though, combat between Clan Roadstalker as well as my units of Mordini's Nightmare Legion actually went really, really well. So let's go and talk about exactly what happened. So first of all, my opponent, of course, rolls to see exactly what his Bugman's Tankard's going to be on this one. And unfortunately for me, he rolled flammable. So because of these guys are actually all flammable now, which is absolutely horrible for my opponent, which is great for me, not so great for my opponent. So because the reason why I bring that up is because that means that Ennio Mordini, which is my unit champion, he actually has flaming attacks with Scab's Wrath. And what that actually also does too is it amazingly makes double damage for Joseph Bugman, who I declared a challenge for, and Joseph Bugman answers it. But I don't really get to use my flaming attacks because I do land a killing blow. So because I do kill Joseph Bugman right off the bat, so he is gone. So that part is awesome. And then meanwhile, combat between my opponent as well as myself, he does also fail his fear check. So because it drops him down to weapon skill 1, so he's only able to kill 3 of my Nightmare Legion. Meanwhile, my Nightmare Legion, on the other hand, though, between my Rinzio Avanti, which is my champion, as well as the rest of my 2 ranks of attacks, managed to kill 11 of these guys. Was able to get that roll off really easily because of that weapon skill, so that part was amazing. Needless to say, I won this combat by a landslide. My opponent was just 1 guy less from actually rolling steadfast. So because he doesn't get steadfast on this one, he of course rolls in order to try to escape. He fails and he has to break. He rolls a 5 to flee. Meanwhile, I roll an 8. So because that Mordini's Nightmare Legion will overrun and destroy these guys. So we'll be right back with the aftermath here in a second. Alright, so needless to say, I did manage to overrun and destroy Clan Roadstalker, and I ran directly into the Sorrows of Eld. So just like that, the Great Cannon is currently in close combat. Now, the reason why I'm not base to base is because unfortunately we have this tree in the way, so can't really occupy the same space as other things. You can't break the laws of physics here, and that pretty much makes it my combat phase for this one. So with combat phase over with, we go directly to the top of turn number 3 for my friend Iron Major. We'll be right back after this. Alright, so now we're back to the top of turn number 3 for my friend Iron Major, and this is after the moon phase, and with a yellow in the air, he decides to go for broke. So as you can see here, he sends in 4 with Clan Helheim, the Fall of the Dragonbacks. Those guys go charging across the battlefield directly into Perazzo's Lost Legion. I can't shoot because I moved earlier, so I can't do a stand and shoot reaction because I'm armed with crossbows, so I do have to take the charge. At the same time, Clan Izmir also charges 4 directly into the Golden Company, shortly followed by Clan Stormcloak, the Brethren of Valia. Just like that, my 2 units are now engaged in close combat. Now for the magic phase, you skip the magic phase because dwarves don't believe in that, and we go to the shooting phase, and unfortunately for my opponent, he does try to open fire with the Decemberist. He rolls a misfire on his very first roll. He rolls again and rolls a second misfire for his second artillery die. So because he goes to the black powder chart, rolls a 1 and kaboom, the Decemberist does blow up. However, though, the rest of the unit doesn't really care though, because the Remember opens fire and gets a direct hit directly on top of my unit over here and does manage to actually kill 4 of my handgunners. So that part was kind of sad. I do, of course, pass my panic check, so I'm perfectly fine there, but still, that was rough. So, with the shooting phase over with, we go directly to the combat phase. Alright, so that takes directly to the top of the combat phase over here between our 2 units over here, which is the Clan Stormcloak, the Brother of Valia, versus my army, the Golden Company. So let's talk about exactly what happened. So unfortunately for my buddy Iron Mage, he pretty much flubbed his rolls for the most part. I get to go first, and the first thing that ends up happening is my opponent, of course, enters a challenge. So Ivar Bodesson, Lord of Fallen holds a challenge directly against my character, Condattiateri, Patricia El Turcio, my Merchant Prince. They both go at it. He managed to put 2 wounds on my Merchant Prince. I was able to put 1 wound on him. He almost killed me, but luckily Guido's lucky coin popped in, re-rolled one of my ward saves, and it saved my life, just barely. So because of that, we go with normal combat. Unfortunately for my opponent, though, he pretty much flubs his attacks. He only gets to kill 4 of the members of the Golden Company for the most part. And of course, for Clan Izmir, those guys got killed the last minute before they even got a chance to strike a single blow, and I managed to kill 5 members of the Stormcloaks as well, which puts my kills on 11, minus the 4 they got from me as well. When combined with combat resolution from rank bonuses and all that kind of jazz, I beat them by 8. And unfortunately for my opponent, because his Battle Center Bear got killed earlier, his Battle Center Bear is there, he tries to roll it earlier, but unfortunately he fails to reroll both times. So because he does have to flee, he flees 6 inches, I flee 7. So I catch those guys and destroy them. And just like that, at this point, my buddy Iron Mage decides to call the game, because after that, all he'll have left is a unit of Quarrelers as well as 1 more machine. He decides to kind of call the game at this point, leading a victory for the Dogs of War. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go directly to the After Action report, because this battle report is now officially over.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Sure, I could have stayed in the past. Could have even been king. But in my own way, I am king. Hail to the king, baby.
Alright, so now it's time for the After Action report. This is the part of the battle report we talk about what went well, what went poorly, and what we can learn for the next time that we do battle. This is the After Action report for the Golden Age battle report number 148, and this one ended up being a victory for yours truly. In the end, I was able to score 2,574 victory points, while Iron Mage was able to score 899. So let's go ahead and talk about my losses real quick. I lost Hildegard von Königsmark, the Lucchini Rifles, the Thugs of Debarra, the Astasi, as well as the Saints of Sartosa. Iron Mage, on the other hand, lost Lord Ivar Bodesson, the Lord of Fallen Holds, Iorek Shattershield, the Chosen of Grungni, Ragnar the Spellbreaker, Torchstick Blackbriar, Joseph Budman, Clan Roadstalker, the Cursed Company, Clan Izmir, the Vengeful Ones, Clan Stormcloak, the Brethren of Valia, as well as the Decemberist. Now, currently, my army's record right now is standing at 5 victories as well as 2 losses, and I got extremely lucky in this battle. that's all I gotta say about that. For some reason, the shooting gods were not with us in this battle. Neither Iron Major's shooting attacks or my shooting attacks were very effective in this battle report. We just kept on rolling misfires and low rolls for hits and low rolls for wounds. It was absolutely really embarrassing, especially since both our armies are very shooting heavy as well. At the same time, his counter magic was also, it was kind of weird. He was kind of like a roller coaster on his counter magic. Some of the times it was really, really well. He was able to stop Shim's Burning Gaze as well as destroy Barona's Time Warp. Other times, he just couldn't get those dice to just, pan out for him for his Dispel phase. So because of his magic phase is very much of a roller coaster in this one on this battle report. Another reason why I got really lucky on this one is because for me, fear played a major role in the combat between Clan Roadsulker, the Cursed Company, which on the right hand flank, as well as Mordini's Nightmare Legion. My opponent, for some reason, failed his fear test. He went to do the reroll, failed it twice because it dropped him the weapon skill 1 and allowed me to destroy that unit, which is his right hand flank. Because I was able to collapse that right flank, I was able to kill Joseph Bugman, I was able to run down that huge unit of Dwarf Warriors and earn myself a lot of points doing that, as well as killing his Battle Standard Bearer as well. Like I said, just a bunch of bad die rolls for Iron Major in this battle report, some good ones for me, was the reason why I won this battle report, to be perfectly honest. For example, the combat between the Saint of Sartos as well as Clan Stormcloak was absolutely devastating. I had no idea the killing power that Clan Stormcloak actually had. I mean, they just one-shotted my Saints of Sartos and just wiped them out off the battlefield with just normal attacks. So that part was absolutely devastating. It shows you how powerful Clan Stormcloak could actually be when, the dice are kind of with my friend on that one. So, and like I said before, luck really much had it for me. Now, luckily for me, Iron Major did make a bad charge. He did send Clan Izmir, the Vengeful One, against my Golden Company, which kind of played against him because what it did is it numbered the number of attacks he could get with Clan Stormcloak, who went against the Golden Company. So that was where he made a major mistake on this one. So because that, he couldn't actually send as many attacks from Clan Stormcloak into my Golden Company like he wanted to. Whereas me, on the other hand, I was able to kill the blast of the Clan Izmir and put a little bit more attacks into his guys than he was able to do that for me. So because of that mistake did win me this battle. If it wasn't for that, if he had probably held back Clan Izmir and charged forward with the Clan Stormcloak, I have no doubt that unit of hammers would have just eaten my lunch on that one and kill all of my members of my Golden Company. So like I said, it was really, really lucky that he didn't do that for me, and that's something you don't want to really rely on too much in games of Warhammer is luck, because you can't rely upon luck all the time, so I got to kind of watch what I'm doing and start paying attention a little bit more to some of the things I was doing on the battlefield on this one. But still, even though I got lucky on this one, it was a really fun time playing against Iron Major. It's been a while since I was able to play against this man in Warhammer Fantasy, so it was nice to get back into it again, and as always, I am looking forward to the rematch. So there you guys have it. That's good to do for this one for Battle Report number 148. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest greatest hobby news related to this channel. That's good to do for this one, you guys. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out and stay classy.